Open the meeting of the Audit Committee. Call to order. Thank you for coming. All of the regular members are present. We had a little bit of an agenda time snafu, so hopefully hopefully Mike will show up in the next few minutes, but we can proceed. First agenda item is approval of the agenda. Does anyone have any alteration to the agenda that they want to make? Okay, can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, agenda approved. Our last meeting minutes were attached from our December 20th, 2021 meeting. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes as written?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion necessary? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, minutes are approved as written. Please note there are no members of the public present. So now we'll move to business. Introduction of the Audit Committee members. If each of you just wants to say who you are, and if you want to add a couple sentences, that's fine. Just introduce yourself to the airwaves.
All right, I'll start at the end here. Janine Richmond, been a resident here at Holden Beach since 2008, and happy to serve for the audit committee.
Jeff Tansel, been here since 2016. Same, happy to be here.
Tony Schiavone, we've been here part-time since 1999.
Pat Lakowski, appointed member from the Board of Commissioners. I've been here full-time 6 years, and I've been a commissioner. This is my 5th year.
Mark Fleschauer, been a property owner since '99, resident since 2009. And I think in 2010, I joined the audit committee that was since disbanded, and then when it was reignited, I was appointed a member as well.
It's good to have history. Okay. This is the meeting where we are going to elect the chair and the vice chair. In the past, the commissioner was automatically the chair. We decided that that was not necessary, so the board should select their chair and their vice chair. And town clerk, what would be the appropriate procedure here?
Completely up to you. Somebody can make a motion, or I have ballots if you'd prefer, but either way.
Anybody want to volunteer to be the chair? Self-nominate?
Don't all speak at once.
Does anybody want to nominate for the chair? Same for vice chair.
I'll do vice.
I will accept, I accept that, so we simply have to pick a chair.
I work full-time, so.
I understand. So shall we do it by ballot?
I nominate our existing chair to resume and serve as chair at least for the next year.
Well, this is only a one-year thing. We do this every year.
Though that makes sense then, since you only have a one-year term,
That's because I'm the board member, and we elect one every year.
as we do the chairman.
Okay, if people want me to be the chair, I will be the chair. Just remember, I am not an accountant. I do not really have deep financials, so I rely on all of you for any expertise. I just sort of manage the situation. Okay? Is that good enough?
Well, do we have to?
Yes, we do have to vote for this. So we have a nomination chair, the commissioner, and vice chair, Janine. So let's vote, we can vote on both of them together or separately. Let's vote on the chair first. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Right.
Unanimous. For-
Congratulations.
Thank
She
you.
looks excited.
I do. Vice Chair, Janine has self-nominated for Vice Chair.
I second the nomination.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Chair and Vice Chair are appointed. I was hoping to pass the gavel to the new chair, but I will keep it. I just wanted to have a kind of reminder of our powers and duties, because I thought that might have some say on time frame for when we need certain audit committee meetings, because there's an action necessary. And to me, obviously, when we are reviewing the external audit, that's a time that we have to have availability, but that's a bit flexible because it's also built around their schedule. Right, David? Sort of. It's like we can't just put a date in October and assume that our external auditor is going to be available.
Yes, ma'am. Perhaps,
Yeah.
perhaps it might be useful, and I had planned on doing this as part of the audit status update, and the next thing, perhaps it would be useful to relay that now as
Mhm.
part of the discussion, because I've got, that would maybe facilitate the discussion on the calendar.
I don't have any problem with pulling 7 up to be included in.
Okay. So this, this is from Elsa, our auditor, and y'all know that the board approved the audit contract on the 15th with Martin Starnes, and oh, by the way, governmental auditors are in short supply, and the pool is shrinking rapidly for many reasons. But from Elsa is the upcoming audit will be the interim audit the week of June 6th, and we're going to have a FEMA, a federal single audit this year because of the scale of our projects. As always, internal controls over the general ledger, cash collections, payrolls, retirement system will be audited then too. We're also going to hold a planning meeting to discuss the GASB implementation of the GASB 87 lease standards that's in effect this year, and these are staff level things. So I just wanted to apprise the committee on what's going on, as well as a discussion of other audit planning items. And just so y'all are aware, we're going to sub out the work on GASB 87 lease implementation. There's the organization is called Debt Book, and they're basically acting not as a subcontractor for the state treasurer's office, but as a and I hesitate to use the word trusted agent, but there's a whole bunch of local governments that are going to sub out that work to make sure that, in order to make sure that we get it right on the first year of the implementation. We're not going to try to learn the details of that, and then perhaps we can pick that work up later on, but we're going to sub that out. So anyway, the final audit will be the week of July 25th, at which time all final balances will be audited, along with wrapping up the FEMA compliance testing. So as far as a calendar per se, we still have to have that thing done by the 31st of October, and in all of the briefings and presentations of the Government Finance Officers Association, the Secretary of the Local Government Commission is really being vocal about the criticality of having those audits completed. That I was not aware of how many local governments are in arrears on their audits, and you know, where it comes into play is, of course, debt issuance. If you're not current, you might as well not think about issuing debt.
David, is that October 31st, is that the commissioner's approval or just the?
No, that's when it's got to be submitted.
So everything's got to go through the entire process?
It's got to be, we got to send it to Sharon
Okay.
or be received. So, I don't know what that contributes toward the discussion of the committee's schedule.
Well, that would be
Do
an
we-
important date to keep in mind in terms of sometime early October or something, if it's got to come to this.
When's the October board date?
Yeah, last year,
Maybe we should work in arrears.
because last year Elsa came specifically to give a presentation to us before giving it to the board,
Right.
before coming back and giving it to the board. And, you know, like, I don't know if we absolutely need that duplication. If she can, I hate to say it this way, if she can give us the presentation earlier in the day, so we've seen, because we passed a recommendation, if I remember right, we passed a recommendation to the board.
18th.
October the 18th. So that's probably the target date that the Board of Commissioners need to have it on their agenda.
Mm-hmm.
And then however the committee would like to review it. Again, it's gonna,
Yeah.
I can't speak for the auditors, like, well, Elsa, you're gonna have it done, you know, in substantially completed form that you can present to the commissioners on the 18th, and
That's
to be determined.
Yeah, I can't remember if she presented to us in October or November, but,
The audit was submitted on time.
no, the audit was submitted on
It-
time.
You know what,
and
it may have been that the presentation was actually made after
it-
that the
because-
audit went in.
Because the board has no right to do anything to the audit.
It was in November, it was November 5th for the audit
Okay.
committee.
So but Elsa gave us a presentation before the board had the presentation, and then we actually had, we did a very short half a pager to the board about what was in the audit, to point out all of the positives of no findings, here was fund balances, things like, to show that everything looks pretty good. But we made a special arrangement with Elsa to come and give us that presentation at additional cost. So, because she has to come and present to the board, there's nothing that says she has to come to present to an audit committee.
The Board of Commissioners meeting is the 15th of November.
So I guess my question would be, do we, as the audit committee, is it considered useful for us to have a presentation ahead of the Board of Commissioners so we can give them our overview?
Well, it seems like that's one of the tasks we have, number 6.
Sort of,
Review the
yeah.
annual audit with the external auditor and provide a written opinion to the Board of
Mhm.
Commissioners. But
Well, then my question would be, is it adequate to have the presentation earlier than the Board of Commissioners meeting on the same day to be able to put together that recommendation. It wasn't very difficult to do it last time.
Do you have to have that recommendation on the agenda before the Board of Commissioners meeting? Or just an
We-
agenda item and then you submit the recommendation
You
letter
can,
that night?
yeah, you can just put it on and provide it at the
That's right.
meeting. We can do it that way, because it's not a long report.
Right.
Otherwise, we just have to leave open that we'll be called in sometime to have a meeting. And, yes, go ahead.
I'd prefer that it be an agenda item and the audit committee have met prior to, so that whatever it is, that it's available for public consumption as a document that with the other
And
agenda stuff.
I prefer it that way too. I'm asking whether or not it's possible, because otherwise we do have to leave everybody being flexible in October and arrange with Elsa a separate date.
Is it possible that we
Could
could
we
have
Zoom?
this arrangement with Elsa without her having to be here? In
I was
other
gonna
words-
say, can we do a remote with Elsa
Yes.
as the audit committee,
No,
maybe?
the subcommittees don't have any remote setup, and you don't wanna do that.
Okay.
Because if we're not doing it under the state of emergency, the actual, they don't count it as a quorum. I don't know what we'll be doing, and I can't tell you that there'll be a state of emergency in November.
I hope not.
So, without that, I've always been told in clerk school, even if you are letting a member remote in, they don't count as a quorum. So if you're not here, you're not counting towards a quorum, so I
I
wouldn't.
was talking
report it
about the
Having
third
her.
party.
Her,
viewer.
oh yeah, she
Could
can definitely.
she,
Okay, that's-
we could
that's-
all be
If
here.
We could Zoom her.
We can
Right,
Zoom her
okay.
in. Yeah, we would
That's-
be
Sorry, I
here.
misunderstood, yes.
Because that's
absolutely.
the key difficulty, and we're asking someone
To physically come here
Yeah.
and, yeah. So if we could do it that way, if Elsa could agree, then we can set something up that's appropriate towards the end of October. Because I'm assuming she'll be ready by the end of October.
it seems like if we're gonna have a role, it would seem like if we're gonna have any input potentially at all, it would be better before the
Yeah, no, I
documents
said,
actually,
question, because if we see things that we have questions on, that's our chance to ask and get clarification. And I'm certainly not saying that anything that comes out of a committee necessarily catches a mistake, but it can happen. It can happen, there'd be a question, and it would lead to oh yeah, there's something here that isn't quite clear or missing, and it can be fixed before it goes in. So we
I'm
would,
confused about the dates. On October the 18th or November the 15th, which one of those meetings will the commission sign off on the audit and accept the audit? Don't you have to do that before you submit
The,
to the LGC?
when you say the commission, the Board of
Board of
Commissioners,
Commissioners.
Yeah.
I would say we don't have any right of approval, we accept it. I mean, we can't, approval to me sort of suggests that we're saying what's in it is good, okay? Acceptance, this is an independent audit, and it's sort of like an acceptance that
I
you
think
have met.
Whether you approve it or
Yeah,
accept it, that's
accept
kind of a
it.
technicality.
It'll
I
be
think you-
November,
After it's
probably.
already been submitted?
Yeah.
that's the way it's always
Yeah,
been
it's
done.
always been the meeting after it's submitted, so.
Well, it seems like to me, if we're doing our job, we should see
Should
it
see it
before
in
it gets
October.
submitted,
Yeah,
whether the commission wants to or not, but we should see it.
right. So we should set, we're gonna have to set a date in October, but we're gonna have to talk to Elsa about a Zoom meeting and when she feels comfortable that she could present it to us. Because on the assumption it's gonna be ready for October 31st, you don't wanna make it too early in the month, but you don't wanna make it October 31st. And we're probably not gonna be able to do that until we get further along.
Can we block out, is there I know people here have different circumstances. Fortunately, October is generally not a heavy vacation month for me. Can we at least understand each other's restrictions and,
Well, if you're talking about any
So-
time, yeah.
yeah, so at least we have some, to make Heather's job a little bit easier, to see if we could block, is there a possibility we could block out a week or a tentative time frame and just leave it at that, and if it matches up?
That's kind of what I was hoping, that maybe people could say the week of October 24th, you know, like, I will keep these times free. Because I know a lot of times Mondays and Fridays are the times that work for people, but
Yeah, that's fine with me, I can.
I'm assuming David doesn't have training somewhere already that week. 'Cause
There's always something flying by. I mean, there's,
yeah, but if you have a
But-
training week,
but
that's.
if
We have
the-
Mother Nature that time
Yeah,
of year that's
but-
still floating around too, so.
but what I'm hearing, okay, October 31st is Monday.
Yep,
And, you know, sometime I can ask Elsa, as she's wrapping up, I'm anticipating that audit's gonna be pretty much done, ready to submit. I cannot see an auditor wait until Monday morning. They're gonna wanna have everything wrapped up before they go home on Friday the 28th. So if I can ask her if, I'm assuming that it'll be in substantially final format that week sometime. And, I can ask her if she thinks that, we can Zoom her in a meeting that, of course, it's, you know, as things unfold, that may change, but I'll ask her if that's, you know, the week that y'all wanna shoot for on reviewing the audit.
yeah. So if people can send Heather just their availability all availability the week of the 24th of October, so that we try to organize that.
Do we know, oh, okay.
Go ahead. Yeah,
Are some people here only available certain days? If we knew that, that would be,
I'm free all week. then.
yeah, I'm always here.
Well, I'm better on Mondays and Fridays, but I can certainly do it if we need to do it anytime.
It's so far out, it's hard for me
I
to
know.
know. I don't have anything in my calendar right now.
If we said, can people keep Monday and Friday free until we get something better precise? And
that's what I'm sort of
Yeah.
saying now. I
Quite as
want
much as we can do, really.
Yeah, and it does depend on Elsa as well. And maybe she's willing to commit this early, just say, sure, let's make it that Friday, and I'll have it done. But,
But if there were any last minute revisions, I guess she's still got, well, no, technically, no.
it has to,
That's the day it's supposed to,
it goes in Monday. Goes in Monday the 31st.
I'm in the wrong year.
Oh, not again.
That's right, I was in 2021, so I was looking for. Okay, now I see.
Okay, all right. David,
Oh,
last
shoot,
year,
I've got a,
oh, no.
I got a doctor's appointment Monday morning at 10:45. It's one of these things you make a year in
Yeah.
advance.
But we could do it in the afternoon. I mean, you could just give your availability to Heather as after 2 o'clock or something.
All right, no,
Yeah. And, okay, David, you said that the week of July 25th is the final on-site. Last year I actually sat in for a brief time. You invited me to meet Elsa, and I think it was the final week, the final on-site. Is there any value for us having a meeting that week and having Elsa just come and talk to us about status?
Only if there are issues.
Well, even if
I would
there's
say
no
only
issues,
if
it's-
there were issues, but, yeah, I guess if there are no issues, it'll be a short meeting, so the value in that, I mean, is what y'all, What is that? Is July the 26th a Friday or the Monday?
The 25th is the Monday, so you say week July 25th.
Just a week, yeah.
The question would be, what's the last day she's on site?
And normally they work all week long, all day long.
So if they were still gonna be here Friday,
Friday late
the
afternoon.
29th of July, and it just sort of, it seems like a good time of year to meet. It's April, May, June, July. Okay, it would be the beginning of July, it'd be 3 months.
The
but
third
it's-
quarter.
Yeah. Can people be available, give Heather their availability the 29th of July? Because I don't see any
That's-
reason for, now you have a problem with, we do have an alternate now.
Yeah. Making plans with 9 grandkids in July, any day in July is
I know.
almost, and particularly a Friday.
I know.
Have a refresh my memory, what's the quorum? How many do you need?
3. And again, we
With
do
an
have an
alternate, so-
alternate now. We
Right.
do have an alternate now, so it helps. I expect my vice chair to be with me all the time.
That'll,
I am going to plan on trying to be here.
Okay, so if we try to give availability for the 29th, and it just, we'll see what that does. 'Cause again, I'd like to actually have meetings that have a purpose here, and not just put dates in the calendar, and then we say we don't need, we have no reason. And then, our last meeting this past year was in December, where we made a recommendation to the board of whether or not we were proposing to keep Martin Starnes for the following year. And I think that kind of works well. So it's really in December where our meeting is the 20th, the commissioners' meeting. So obviously, we need to meet, I would say, either the 2nd or the 9th to make that recommendation, because, you know, we'll have to write up just a very brief to put in the packet, which will be very simple. So it could be either the 2nd or the 9th, if we're sticking to Friday. It could be equally be Monday the 11th, or Monday the 4th. So if people can give Heather their availability for, let's stick to the Friday and try the 2nd and the 9th of December. And if nothing works, we'll come back and say, how about Monday? Those Mondays instead.
Okay.
And if this is how we end up doing it, that's gonna be our meetings for the year. David, does that all make sense to you?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. David, is there anything else you wanted to brief us, now that we've got the date set? Is there more for your briefing? The audit status update, what's changing?
The GASB 87, and how the leases are going to impact our capital assets is probably, from a management perspective, my biggest concern.
What is the town lease?
We have a Vector truck. We have our cloud services. We got a whole bunch of copiers. And then the flip side of that, and I haven't been able to ascertain what the right answer is that how do we account for being on the receiving end of lease proceeds? Our water tower, we lease space for the telecommunications gear on that. So a lot of this is uncharted territory for us and a bit of naivety on my part. So as far as me communicating that it's an area of concern, you know, our first go through this is to pull all our contracts together. And then having to apply the criteria on, yes, GASB applies or GASB doesn't apply. To that, you know, there's a decision tree therein. So we're going to rely a lot on what did I call these guys?
Debt book.
Debt book to help us sort through that.
But this, if I remember when you first mentioned this to me, this has direct impact on our general fund balance and how we'll
Well, it's,
determine it, right?
yeah, because it impacts how, the obligations for those out-year contracts, are accounted for. You know, it's an obligation. So does it consume part of your current unassigned fund balance? You know, and to what degree?
At this
Because
point.
there's fund balance and then
And-
there's assigned fund balance.
Right.
And so, you know, the big ticket items for us, of course, are the 6-figure lease that we have on the back of the truck. You know, those are that's probably the biggest. The other things, the concern is like copiers. We got a whole bunch of copiers. The other concern is that we capture those. And I'm not anticipating that to be a high dollar item when it impacts, but we just want to make sure that we get everything that we're supposed to.
Okay. Right, so,
And then the FEMA single audit.
yeah, I know, but you've been through those before.
Uh-uh.
Didn't we have a famous single audit?
Didn't have enough.
Didn't have enough.
Okay,
That's why we had to,
that's right,
that's
that's
why we,
right.
the taxpayers,
That's
pay
right,
the
we,
majority
yeah,
of that.
that's right,
Right.
okay.
Right.
So, yeah, well, again, as they were saying at a couple meetings about just audits in general, that there are gonna be a whole lot of towns going through single point audit just because of the Recovery Act money.
Well, and
So
that's a real
we're-
good
we're-
point.
yeah, so
It's not just the FEMA
yeah,
money,
it's
it's the
every-
ARPA money.
that's right,
All of
so-
that stuff
So.
plays into the
Right.
sausage meal.
So there's a whole lot of people who are gonna be going through this for the first time as well. So I assume audit firms are gonna be used to walking people through a lot of stuff they've never been through before.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and say there's probably a lot of audit firms that are gonna be going through this the first time too, with the ARPA money, because we haven't seen that
Mhm.
before. And especially since the fact that, many of those ARPA funds are multi-year programs. You know, it's through 2026, I believe, is when, maybe that's wrong, but anyway, there's a shelf life on those that's 3 or 4 years long. You know, for example, our ARPA direct appropriation is a population-based, is $200,000, and it comes in 2 increments, and we have a few years to spend it, so, anyway.
I think it's 2024, if I
Right.
think correctly. Okay, and this is just sort of speculating. Do you think if the local government commission starts to get word from a whole lot of municipalities and auditors that, hey, we're struggling because we're really in deep with all this extra work, that there might be extra time given to get these in? I know the last time that happened was because of Florence. But is LGC gonna be open-minded if they find that auditors are just plain struggling because of the workload and all the first times?
I
haven't
haven't got
gotten
any
that
inkling that Sharon is going to be looking to doing that. I think that by her being out front and telling local governments and reminding them what their, commissioner level governing bodies, their responsibilities are, I think that die is cast. What we are seeing is some of the federal requirements being reduced. In other words, like the requirement to really fine-tune how replacement revenues were accounted for. There's being some relief given to that. In other words, if you have less than $10 million, there's not such a hard look at how those funds are expended. So the relief may come from the federal level.
Yeah, I know Sharon's been very clear in a couple courses I took and then last night about you need to get your auditor lined up. You don't already have it, you need to get it. So,
And that's what's good about y'all going ahead
Yeah.
at the December meeting and getting somebody lined up early.
okay, so, we've got our schedule or what we have to feed to Heather to set a schedule. So any other business? Is there anything else?
We haven't done the 2 and 3 years yet.
Right.
Oh, sorry, I skipped the 2 and 3 years. That's the any other business. Right, we have 4 appointed regular members, and we're going to a staggered term situation, so we need 2 for 3 years and 2 for 2 years. Tony has been gallant and already said he will do 3 years. So, Mark, Janine, and Jeff, is there anybody who wants to raise their hand and say, I'm happy to commit to be a 3-year person? Janine will do it. Yes. All right then, Heather, Tony and Janine, 3 years. Mark, Jeff, 2 years. Mike Felmy as the appointed alternate is 3 years, and of course, I'm 1 year because
But he could fill one of our vacancies.
if someone leaves, the general policy would be to ask the alternate if he's willing to step in. Are you assuming you're going someplace?
No, I just said he has a 3-year term,
Yeah.
but in
Yeah.
2 years,
If he
I like that-
chose to become a full member,
he's a candidate.
yes, he would be a candidate, right. Okay. Now, is there any other business? Thank you for reminding me of that. If not, then can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?